Hi, I am Mary Mazur. This is Change Your Funk to Fun. This episode is letting go of lack and scarcity. So, we're going to be diving into the effects lack and scarcity have on us and with us, and then how we can transform that into abundance. So I have a wonderful guest on the show today, Alex Pop, who is going to be coming on here. So Alex likes being in nature and dancing barefoot and eating his yard, not just eating in his yard, eating his yard. Alex has a background working in the food industry, and he's become a certified permaculture designer last year. Permaculture is a regenerative design science and lifestyle rooted in indigenous wisdom and centered upon living in harmony with the natural world. Alex is passionate about turning lawns and yards into edible landscapes called food forests as a way to regenerate lands and nourish communities. So we welcome Alex Pop on the show. Hello, Alex. Welcome.
Hi, Mary. So good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. What a joy. People are going to be very gifted today. This is for sure. So yes, and believe me, we're going to be talking a lot about, like you said, the food forest and the ways that we can replenish ourselves and realize how abundant Mother Earth is, how abundant we actually are, and that we can start living where this is just a natural way of being, where we don't have to be afraid of, are we going to have enough food? Is everything going to be okay? It's those fears of the scarcity world of survival, scarcity, lack, those kind of things that a lot of us got when we were younger. I know I sure did. So, and our parents probably definitely did, and their parents probably even worse. So all these little, beliefs and programs and just patterns and ways of being are transforming now in the Aquarian age. Thank goodness, right?
Thank goodness, yes, they are.
I know, I know. So would you love to share a little bit more about your story, your journey, yeah, into the abundant mindset? Mhm.
Absolutely. And so I guess my journey would start almost 2 years ago. So spring of 2022. And at that time, I had entered what I would say a lower energetic state. So I was angry. I was irritable, I was anxious, and I was living with these lower frequency energies. And a lot of reasons led to that. I mean, COVID obviously don't need to go down that hole, but that triggered a lot of things. And I just was at a point where I knew I needed to make some changes. I wasn't treating people as good as I should, and I knew I needed to try something different, make some changes. And so I wasn't spiritual at all, but I searched spiritual retreat online, and I ended up in Latin America a month later at a spiritual retreat. And then after 1 week of yoga and breath work and mindset training and plant medicine ceremony, I emerged with a new perception of reality. And
Mm,
I was able to clear those lower frequencies and release and purge the anger, the greed, the ego, the irritability and anxiety. And then
mm,
once I was kind of clear, I could receive the love and light that is all around us. And one fundamental mindset shift that I now embody, or at least seek to embody, is that life happens for us and not to us. And
mhm.
it was just a really fundamental shift, because that took me from the victim to the creator. That took me from scarcity to abundant mindset, where now whenever anything happens, or a roadblock gets in your way or something happens to you, you can say thank you. What am I going to learn from this? What is the universe trying to teach me? And now I have a fundamental belief that the universe is assisting me. It's always on my side, and helping realize our wildest dreams.
Oh, and that's awesome. Yay. So with these last 3 years, you actually had a catapult, right? Of a huge expansion. How grateful is that, right? Isn't that amazing?
It, yeah, just living in a state of gratitude. Yeah, I try to practice gratitude every day. It's truly been a blessing. Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you. And so would love to dive into even a little bit deeper. Yeah, obviously before we start talking more about like the abundance of foods and the beautiful things you're moving into and things, is even the part about when you were at that angry state or frustrated state or just grumpy, dense energy you talked about, right? More of the denser, contracted vibrations, because that's actually super huge. because many of us will go through dynamics like you just did. We're all going to be invited to clear out these dense energies. We all are, because we all agree to live during this time, during this massive transformation, this massive ascension time, where we remember, like you just did, that you're actually a spiritual being having this human experience, that everything is really here for you, and that you are the co-creator of your life. And whatever you put your focus in, your intentions in positively, that's exactly what's going to magnetize to you. And equally so, we can do the same thing with negative. So when we're angry, when we're frustrated, when we're in that fighter spirit, like it's not fair, or just like you say, more of even just helplessness, where people can get down into shame and guilt, in worry, where they just give up, that I can't do anything, things like that. It's okay. We as humans are meant to experience it all here. A bigger question would be to ask, and this is what probably what happened with you, and then we ask the people listening, is a key question you can ask yourself: how long do I want to stay there? How long do I want to stay angry and frustrated? Right? Some people will, and they will, and I know I did it for a bit too, because I was such a fighter. I was taught to be a fighter. I was taught to be a Marine, like my dad, and a soldier,
Mhm.
really. And I thought that was all you had to do. That's what you had to do to survive. It was a protective mechanism, right? Many of us will keep the anger or lack of forgiveness, lack of letting go, in that, and that literally is a scarcity mindset. It literally is a lack scarcity mindset, because it's a very narrow mindset. It's a very contracted, narrow way to be. And many of us will be there. Some of us, even like myself, lived in denial land. My mom did too. So we would just act like we're fine, act like everything's great, try and
Mm.
adapt to what everyone really wants, be a people pleaser, be a rescuer. I did all of those things. And then the key comes in is exactly what you did, is to be brutally honest with yourself. And that it takes courage. It takes courage and willingness to admit how you're feeling, how things are happening. If things aren't working out very well for you, there's a reason why they're not. Okay. And like you just realized and came up with, which is huge, is it's not happening to you to hurt you, harm you, punish you, blah, blah, blah. The things that we all created our first 7 years of life is really what we did based on the experiences we had. No, you actually went into a new direction. And that is key. You have to do something different if you're going to want to make the changes. Otherwise, that's insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. No, the only way to have different results is by doing something different. Yay! And for you, exactly, the spiritual ceremony and retreat that you did, and the gift is you were ready for it. So that's another thing we just like to offer, is that it isn't everybody's readiness. Because I don't know about you, but for me, yeah, we have people in our lives like, man, they could really use a lot of help. You're like, man, I wish they would like wake up and get the help they need. And well, that has also taught me a ton, where instead now I unconditionally love and accept everyone just right where they are. And I honor them. They're being how they are because that's just where they are. And everyone gets the free will choice to be exactly as they are, as long as they're not harming people. Like that's when we do have to step in, right? If they're really like hurting and harming people. But as long as they're not, even the grumpy ones or even the frustrated ones, they actually will ignite people. They will trigger people. So they actually are serving, which is really kind of interesting. It's not a good life though, right? Because you don't feel good. You feel crappy. And you're making everybody else feel crappy too, or at least your dense energy is now triggering them to also activate their dense energy. Right? Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So look at this. I know you had the courage, the willingness, the boldness to say, yes, I am going to go do something. And you did it, which is super huge. And look at, and then yeah, we'll be talking about how much your life is catapulting now, right? Isn't that exciting?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it was total blessing, and it led me to permaculture, led me to realize the importance of building community, and the passion I now have for community, and that's how we met, through a community I found through this network. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's all been a blessed journey, and 2024 is going to be the best year yet.
Yes, exactly. Right now,
Mhm.
how exciting is that when you can actually wake up in the morning and be excited for your day, excited for your year, right? Huge. And that's the gift, when the work that I offer with people is to help them so that they can have that, you know. And it does take that. It does take for them to have the courage and the willingness to go within themselves, because they actually created programs within themselves. We call them subconscious beliefs. That it's programs. We all got programs our first 7 years,
Yep.
and we created them ourselves, and also our family, graciously gave them theirs too. Great, whatever theirs were, we got a lot of them too. Because we didn't know any different. Even our brains waves were at a slower level where they were complete downloads, especially the first 2 years of life. And then even up until 7, yeah, we weren't really fully conscious to make choices in the opposite direction than what someone's telling us until we were about 7 years old. It's pretty amazing. So a key thing that I recommend here is that to go help work with somebody, because it's nice to work with somebody. And I offer what's called the tool of Psyche. So Psyche is short for psyche. The psyche is your mind, your spirit, and your soul. Like you said, having those spiritual journeys, right? And then the K is the key. The key is to unlock and activate your personal power. Unlock exactly what you did to realize that everything is here for you. Okay. And right. And believe me, spiritual journeys can do the same thing. So there's lots of tools here, right? Psyche is just a very fast, effective tool. And right, if you aren't able to travel or aren't able to go, or it's just you're going to be people are going to be drawn to what they want. And then I recommend is do multiple ones. I've done them all. I've done the spiritual journeys too, which are amazing. I love breath work, sound work, and or you even talk about with people, and any people related healing gifts that we can do for each other. So the key comes in right is in our readiness, and interesting enough, it's actually when things are kind of crappy is what we a lot of times will wake us up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, peaks and valleys. My lowest peaks have led to my highest valleys, and they've all been a blessing. And uh, just to build on what you said, I totally agree. There's so many different modalities that each person, whatever you're called to in that moment, is a way, is a modality. There's the spiritual autobahns, I would call them, like plant medicine ceremonies, maybe. And then there's more subtle ones like meditation and yoga and daily practices and psyche, and so there's so many different routes, which I love, and I'm still learning new practices all the time, and refining which are my daily practices. But main thing for me is just have practices, I try to maintain those practices, or at least do them certain times of the day. So it's a journey, and it takes daily work. It's practice, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that is kind of funny because I know even for myself, I do like things fast and effective. That's probably why I used Psyche first to help me with my spiritual awakening, and then I added all the other beautiful ones too. And yes, we can do things pretty quickly here, especially now. Everything is speeding up. That's why for you, your expansion went really fast, right? It was like 18 months, right? Mine has been a progression over about 13, 14 years. So I've been like, woo, and I a lot of mine because I didn't want to be vulnerable. I was too scared to be vulnerable. And actually, when I went to
Mm,
go learn this tool, I didn't even do it for myself. Now, how funny is that, right? Because I was so programmed to go help everybody else and put yourself last and sacrifice yourself, you know, all of those lovely things that many of us got. And then at the time I was married, my husband at the time was diagnosed with leukemia. So that's actually what led me to
mm,
my own self on my own spiritual journey. And that's okay. It's okay if you want to go help somebody else. And that I kind of came in the back way door, right? Because I was denying it. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm good. I handle it because I was taught to be tough. I was taught you've got to figure it out here, kid. You've just got to get out there and do it yourself and go figure it out. And then you just deal with it. But then like exactly what you said, a key one comes in is checking in with how are you feeling? How are things going now? And if you can be really honest, like, no, you know what? I kind of just like this sucks. I'm frustrated a
yeah.
lot. I was frustrated. That was my main thing. I was frustrated a lot. And I was pressing things, I was making things happen. It was a lot of my masculine energy. And the gift now is we're meant to integrate our masculine feminine within us. Whether you're a man or woman, it doesn't matter. We both have masculine feminine, and they're meant to
Yep.
dance and work together. They both have key, parts of us that are important to actually collaborate, to flow. So there are times to slow down. There's times it's the feminine energy to just be, to feel.
Hmm.
Isn't that fascinating? And then
Yeah.
bring things like you say, the community, the wholeness, the connection, right? And then the masculine part is the one that is more focused, that takes the action, is more in the physical, is going to break things apart, and set up those plans and things like that. So if you favor one or the other, that's okay. It's just the style that we learned. We learned coping skills to survive. Most people on this planet have been programmed in the masculine nature because it was a survival thing. We had to. If
Mm,
they feel safe or secure, then they're going to have to go, do things until they can feel safe and secure, right? And then that's the pieces, especially if they have fears about lack and scarcity. Yeah,
Thank you.
so I'd like to dive in a little deeper then about your spiritual awakening, because I know I'm sure people have talked about, oh, people have had spiritual awakening. So what is that? What does that even mean? Like meaning like how you were before to how you are now. And yeah, if you can like kind of dive in a little bit more deeply with that.
Absolutely. And so for me, it was a realization that, and this is my perception, so I'm not trying to impose this on anyone, but to me, realizing that there's a force that is, penetrates across the universe. I call it spirit, and it is a language of the cosmos to me, and to me, love is the language, and that language penetrates kind of through everything, and tapping into that the flow of the universe has created this new reality for me where again it's abundance, and I believe that we are here to exactly a spiritual being having a human incarnation. So there's a bigger beautiful picture, and we're here to have fun. We're here to live in joy, and life is meant to be fun. I believe that doesn't mean there aren't hard realities that come up. That doesn't mean there aren't real world issues. That doesn't mean it's not okay to feel bad at times. But that, fundamentally we are here to have fun. So don't get too stressed out about things. Obviously the best you can, and just tapping into that higher purpose and faith.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up too that exactly because even when we do move, basically what we're doing with the spiritual awakening is we're raising our vibration, we're raising our frequency. We actually are when we actually raise our vibration and frequency, we actually become more aware. We become more conscious. So we can see things, we can sense things, we can feel things, we can hear things more than we ever did before. And it's literally an energy thing, that we really are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great. I'm glad you brought that up because that has been a fundamental shift for me as well as is feeling versus thinking. So before my awakening, I've been overthinking since a young child. I used to get night terrors before wrestling matches when I was 8, and like because I was stressed out thinking about the wrestling match the next day. So I've just had an overthinking mind really throughout my whole life, and that led to certain periods of really pretty extreme anxiety throughout my 20s. But now I just try to feel everything. And it makes life so much easier because I can just feel, I can trust my intuition, I can meditate, I can just receive the information that's flowing towards me, and make decisions with my heart and just with my gut feeling. I believe my gut feeling is our connection to the microbes, which we have a divine connection with, as part of this whole larger web of life. So just being able to feel now instead of think has honestly made things a lot easier and given me faith to know when decisions are right, where I don't have to just try to think my way through a decision.
Yeah, so beautiful, so beautiful. Yeah, and the with the spiritual, retreats and things that like for you, you catapulted up, right? There are other people that may go a little slower too, because I know friends that that can have continued to do that, and they're still just kind of taking little steps, and that's okay because we're going to do it at the pace that we're meant to do it too. Each one,
Absolutely.
it's really, really great when we can let go of comparing ourselves to others and then just start honoring your own self. Each one of us has our own divine timing for things and our own speed and our own styles. For me, it's funny because I am typically a very fast person. Like I can process things fast. I used to speak super fast. I even like to walk fast, run fast. Kind of funny. Yet with making these changes, I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't know what was going to happen. Just the fear of the unknown kind of had my system go a bit slower, and I'm grateful for it. So I'm grateful for the time that I did do with my transformation. So the gift with Psyche is it can meet you right where you are and meet you at your pace. And people that want to go fast, I've helped people go very fast, and it's amazing. In fact, I have a girlfriend. We were on the phone last night. She's so sweet. One of my best friends, favorite friends. And she feels so much like you're talking about feeling to the point that she is almost overfeels, right? Because sometimes you can go way over where you get
Yep.
lost feeling. She'll get into some pits and her crying and just the, wailing, woof. And that's her style. So that some people have way styles where mine, I was taught with my dad being a Marine and I had 7 brothers. Like, no, you cry, I'll give you something to cry about, kid. You better suck it up and get tough. So
Mm,
I had to shut down my feelings. It was my safety net. If I showed my feelings, it was not going to be good for me. So I'm still expanding on allowing myself, especially like expressing my love when I'm angry. Or the love is great. Like when I'm angry, expressing that, expressing when I'm sad, letting myself cry. It's fascinating how each of us are, but we are meant. We are feeling beings. We are heart center beings, but we weren't taught that. We were taught to be in our minds, in our heads, and to analyze things, think things through, process things up here. And this is the biggest game changer when people can invite themselves, and all it takes is an invitation. That's it. And that's what you did on your ceremony journey, and you knew you had to be in a new way, is you invited yourself to go into your heart. We literally are that powerful. It's our intention. And then, like you said, see how you do during the day. If there's times where you're kind of zipping back in your mind, okay, check in with what you're doing. Are you judging yourself? I did that a lot. I was so critical and harsh because I had a father who had a super high bar, right? And so I have a super high bar. So it's this judgment or this conditioned love, or I have to be perfect, or I have to be this. Woof, I've shifted almost all of that. I'm sure there's little pockets that come up, and that's okay. But it's amazing. And the gift with this is that we'll move into like letting go of lack of scarcity. So we'll be bringing back around, how does this all tie into that, into abundance, right? Because sometimes when we get lost in our minds, it actually can be a form of lack and scarcity, which means we may not. Ooh, we just lost him. I hope he comes back. He'll come back in. I'll be talking to everybody else until he comes back. So, that when we are in our minds too much, it actually is a very narrow focus of what we feel like we need to do at this moment. And it may be necessary. All right. Yeah, he's going to come. He'll come back in just a moment. We'll wait for Alex to come back. So, hey, whoever's listening, go take a nice bathroom break or a little water break. We'll take a little water break here. How about that? Mm. Well, and if he can't come back, then we'll keep on going. So, all right. Well, with our minds, when we're in more of this narrow focus, it's just a narrow focus. Okay. And sometimes it is important to get very specific with your mind. The key comes in, are you connected with your heart? Are you connected with who you are? You're a spiritual being, which means you are love and light. You are a divine love and light being here, choosing to experience this human being experience on earth. Yeah. And whoo, and the key comes in is by you recognizing it. It is everything. And that's exactly what Alex did. He recognized he was tired of being angry. He was tired of being frustrated or things not working well for him, right? And if you are frustrated or challenged or feel blocked, perfect. That's actually all here for you. Okay. And I'm going to check with my phone to see if he's trying to get back in here too. Uh, Come on back. Oh, here he comes. There you are. Yay!
Oh,
Somehow you slipped off and slipped back in, huh?
uh-oh.
That's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
and internet just nope, no more, and then a mobile hotspot came in, so here we are.
that's the internet. Oh my goodness. So I was just sharing who's listening. Yeah, thank you. So I was just sharing who's listening is that if we get lost in our minds and we're not in our hearts, a lot of it is because there's some type of either something we have to do or security thing. It's almost like a security alert that I have to figure this out. I have to think this out. There may be some denser energies there, either of like a fear or just a denser energy of something. So the key, like exactly what you said, is how are you feeling? Are you in your heart? How are you noticing like how you are being in the present moment? Most people are either in the past or the future. Are you right here? Or are your thoughts racing about, oh, what's going to happen?
Mm,
I don't know, blah blah blah, or still being mad about the stuff that happened, back in the days you're not letting go of, right? Yeah, all of that creates a limitation, or we call it the lack and scarcity, mentality. And the gift is when you can open your mind up. It's how you open your mind is actually by going into your heart. How funny is that? Because when you can
yeah,
go,
yeah,
right? Yeah, and feel again and
it
be honest,
totally is.
then you can start changing these programs with Psyche. You actually change the program. So if you have like I can't, or I don't love myself, then you get to reprogram it. I love myself. I forgive myself, or I forgive others. I try. Big one for me is receiving a lot of help. I was terrible at that, and because I was taught to do everything myself. I had to be tough and do everything myself. And with Psych K, and then obviously the other beautiful modalities too, helped me greatly with that. That I get so much help now. I'm in awe about it. Like I'm like, wow, 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 wow. And that is an abundance right there. Right there. I had to drop off a Turo car before we got connected here, and you have a time stamp to get on there, right? To drop off the car. So I go pull up to the gas station to fill up the tank before I give him his car back. And I've never used his car. I've never filled up his tank before in his car. So I take the keys out because it was dinging, put them on the dashboard, and I shut the door, and the door locks.
Oh, no.
Yeah, thank goodness I had my debit card because I got the gas, but I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm 5 minutes from his house. I can't even call him, right?" And
Yeah.
what? And I was already pressing it where I was just gonna get there right at the time slot. And this is the gift. I know I can get help. So I asked one lady, she helped me with one little phone call with my AAA, but and then she just literally didn't have time. So she scurried off, which was fine because I get free will choice, whatever people can do, but I can ask for help now where I had a hard time asking for help before. And that is a
Mhm.
huge game changer. It ended up this other young lady pulled up in front of me with her big truck, and we ended up staying in the car, I think a half hour, 45 minutes. She stayed there and waited for me till the AAA guy came because he kept calling her phone back. I'm like, "You're amazing." I'm like, "You are an angel. Thank you." And then that pours in where I feel so loved, the abundance of love, the abundance of receiving help.
Yes.
These are all key pieces of abundance. And we have to go to our hearts, right? Live from our hearts. And then what we do as Psyche is we help people change those limiting beliefs, which is a huge piece. So I know one little cap, and then we're gonna take another break. Is there one thing anything else you'd like to say about that?
That totally, it's a great ad. And then the one build is back to the thinking feeling is that once, to your point of now, once you feel, then it can actually expand your mind, and then you can consciously send out the vibrations you want. So that you can send out the thoughts you want, the love you want, um, the dreams you want. You can tell the universe your dreams, and then the universe can receive your message and then send things back towards you. And
Oh,
it's
thank
that's
you.
abundance to me. A food forest is an ecosystem designed to produce an abundance of food, and it's designed just like a normal ecosystem. So if you picture a forest in Michigan, there's tall trees, there's short trees, there's shrubs, there's flowers, there's mushrooms. There's a variety of species that are work together to have a self-regulating ecosystem. They
Mhm,
take care of itself. They recycle the waste. There's food and habitat for birds. So we design the same things, but we just plant a bunch of food species. So that
mhm,
way you can eat your yard, you can eat your public park, you can eat anywhere you go because we just plant food forests everywhere. And food forests have a heavy focus on perennial systems. So that way
mhm,
nature does the heavy lifting for you. Because once you
mhm,
plant an apple tree and it gets established, it's going to make apples each year. It's going to get stronger each year because the sun's
mhm,
going to keep shining. That apple tree is going to keep taking that sunshine, working with the microbes in the soil, working with Mama Earth, and just getting stronger and stronger. And
mhm.
so, yeah, this is kind of what I'm super passionate about these days. I've been converting my house to an urban food forest and kind of dream of food forests everywhere.
Wow, so you even live in a city and you're doing it even in the city, huh? Or suburb?
Yep,
In a suburb?
yeah, yep, suburb of Minneapolis. And I think that's a common misconception that people think you need a ton of space to do this. And I
Mhm,
have a zero point 0.2 acre lot, so very grateful for it. But it's not like it's a huge plot of land.
mhm,
And by the end of next year, I plan to have 10 fruit trees, around 50 berry bushes, asparagus, rhubarb, all sorts of hazelnuts. There's so many different plants you can plant that are perennial systems that come back year after year. And by the way, I still have plenty of space to host community, to dance barefoot. So you don't have to get rid of the open space that comes with a lawn to do this. I think that's important to note. Uh, but you just also don't have to cultivate monoculture grass either if you want to, have a more regenerative system that produces food.
Wow, wow, and, like, I loved how you said too, and you were sharing with me, and then you get to go share it with your neighbors, right? Share it with people. I mean, that's the gift of Mother Earth, right? She creates so much, you literally have to give it to your neighbors, which is awesome, right?
Exactly, and that's true abundance. So If you just take those 10 fruit trees, I planted 6 this year. Just the fruit trees alone, on the low end, I'll have over 1,000 pounds of food annually once they're mature. On the high end, if I love these trees, if I treat the soil well, I'll have over 2,000 pounds of food. That is way more fruit than I could eat, even if I canned it, preserved it all. Uh, so I have an abundance of food. So then I share with my neighbors. And then I invite my neighbors over to help me plant, what I call a permaculture party. So I invite my neighbors and community over to help me plant fruit trees and berry bushes. And then when it's time to harvest, I can invite everyone over to harvest it. And then you
Oh,
can inspire and educate more people to do this. And then if it cascades, then the neighbors plant fruit trees. And then it goes, then we plant fruit trees in our parks, and we can just cascade this grassroots movement out to really just turn around this whole perception of lack, that there's not enough food to go around. There's so many hungry people, but we can grow food everywhere. So we can really change the tides.
wow, this is huge. This is super huge. And with this, it's probably like even like because even with just what you're sharing, and right now I'm a nomad, so I still have to get land and which will be wonderful. So you're inspiring me because when I do, absolutely. Well, and actually, I think I finally have decided I am going to go buy a house with my girlfriend, and then that's what we're going to be doing. So I know I'll be calling you up to say, hey, because what would be people's first beginning steps then, so that they can like learn about this and begin? Is it pretty simple to just actually begin?
Yeah, great question. First step would be to have a design, and there are many ways to do that. There's many professional permaculture designers. I'm happy to help with that. I'm a certified permaculture designer, so uh,
Mhm.
first thing would be plan a design, and then you can create a beautiful design for your yard. And that's what I actually did to first when I first started getting my yard going. So a professional designer can help you understand, here's where you'll put all these different fruit trees. Here's how they're going to work together. Here's how you make a guild where you have different plants that benefit each other, keep pests away. Plants have different roles. Some put nitrogen in the soil, some provide shade, some thrive in shade. And then
Mhm.
once you have a design, you can do it yourself. You can install it all, and or you can pay someone to install it, a professional, or you
Mhm.
can have a permaculture party. So you invite your friends and family over to install it for you while they dance and play, and while you bring the fun into, and you bring the culture part of permaculture into it. So that way you're having fun while planting the seeds that you will bear fruit for your children.
Wow. Wow. Isn't that beautiful? And then, yeah, you guys can plan different parties, right? So then you can go to the other neighbors and then start helping before you know it in a very short time, right? We don't have to be so dependent on the grocery stores or dependent on, right, something outside of us, and then also that because that ties into, well, then I have to, make so much money in order to provide for myself, things like that, right? Where it actually saves on the money, which is super huge, right? Especially with
Exactly. Yeah.
vegetables, and fruits and vegetables are a key piece for us. Yeah.
Yep. And that's a really key part, is that the apple tree is going to make apples once you plant it. So it really is. I mean, food is free, but yes, you have to buy an apple tree, but you can plant it by seed. So it just depends how long you want to wait for that apple tree. But dandelions, oh man, I have an abundance of dandelions. I have all the greens I can eat all year long. Mama Earth just brings them to my doorstep, says, and they just show up, say, "Eat me, drink me." So I have, healthy greens all summer long. I have tea all winter long. And then as my food forest gets going, I'll start to have berries and fruits and vegetables. And um, yeah, the goal is to have more than I could ever consume, to have true abundance.
Wow, and living in harmony with Mother Earth. Isn't this so, so vital, right? That we got so separated before, I believe, and we just forgot because a lot of it, and all it does is, like you said, a new direction, begin in a new way. Say, well, maybe I can, even if it's just a few, fruit trees, a few bushes. You just start, and if you'd like to have a party, like that's like one of the best ways you could do it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up, because every tree counts, every berry bush counts, every flower counts. You don't have to go all in. So back to how do you start? If hiring a designer is the way to figure out how to do it on a large scale, but there's a lot of free resources out there. You can start small. One idea is just take a 10 by 10 section of your lawn. Just don't mow it all year. See what happens. You might see a dragonfly for the first time ever. You might see bumblebees. Just see what happens
Mm.
for that small section of your yard. You can buy things by seed to really make things cheaper. So there's a lot of ways to do it, bit by bit, but every little bit counts.
Wow, wow. Oh, I love it, I love it. So how much time have you, would you say it would take somebody to actually do this too? Because obviously people may think that they have a lack or scarcity of their time, especially if they're working all day, right? Oh man, am I gonna have time to be able to do this?
Great question. I think it's skewed for me because I love being outside so much. So to me,
Mhm.
I'm just having fun,
Mm.
looking at the same peach tree 3 times a day, even though it hasn't changed. But in general, for a permaculture system, once it's planted, I, I don't think it's more than a 1 to 3 hours a week, I would say,
Mm,
um, to maintain. I mean, honestly, that's really even to harvest. Like, because once it's planted, you can do some stuff in the spring. You can remulch. You can add some new compost. You know, weeds are really just a plant that you haven't determined a use for yet, but there is management of removing certain species that you don't necessarily want in your system and then using them for something else like compost. So
mm.
maintaining that does take some time, but I would say, if you have a pretty functioning food forest, you could get by with 1 2 hours a week, I think, for a lot of the summer. And then if you get your community to help harvest and plant, then you really save the time there as well.
Wow. 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 So like the gift here is right, people's readiness, right? Are they willing to begin? And I know when we're gonna have the next break where they'll be able to help where they can contact you and get a hold of you, which will be super huge. Because I know I'm even excited about it. Because yeah, I know for me it's a bit of like wanting to feel free, wanting to feel right deeply connected with Mother Earth, with nature, with who we are as nature beings here, right? To just shift things in a whole new way, right? And then allowing yourself exactly to literally experience abundance in this way, which I think then can actually, I'm sure it did it for you too, where you can realize, wow, what other areas would I like to expand in my abundance, right? With which right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. With time's one of our most precious pieces, right? So yeah, it may move people into new careers or new directions, or it's very, very exciting, right?
Yes, it
And
is.
yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Oh, I know. Whew, hard. So, what is your big vision or dream for the world? What would you love to see, especially with this permaculture piece coming in?
Totally. I would love to see a world where all of our communal needs are met, and
Mm.
we dance and play while we eat peaches straight from the tree. And
Mhm.
I really think the way there, food forests, I do think solve humanity's major challenges. I mean, what are the challenges facing us? Our climate's changing. Well, once we have food forests everywhere, we're now regenerating the planet, and we're no longer cutting down the rainforest to grow corn because we have food everywhere. So we reverse the trend actually. So we regenerate our planet. That leads to cleaner air, cleaner water. What's another major problem? People are hungry. Well, food everywhere addresses that. People are financially challenged. Free, abundant food everywhere addresses that.
Mm.
Um, so I really think, and pesticides are all over much of the food grown. You don't use pesticides in a permaculture food forest system. So I think it addresses so much, and then the community part of it I think is so important. So getting back to the world where we know our neighbors, we live in community, we have just a strong support system. Like we are a tribal species, we always have been, and I think that reconnection with each other, and then with Mama Earth, like you said, with nature, and I think food forests to do all that. So that's why it's
Mhm.
such a passion for me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I can feel it and I see it spreading all across the world, right? And it's going to be more of people, beings like you. And that's all it takes is a few of this in the little bit that this massive change happens. Simplicity, abundance, spiritual connection with nature, with each other, right? And like, what I love is having fun. That's awesome, right? Playing, fun, connecting, bringing communities back together, doing this together collectively, right? And that's awesome.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Is there any word of advice or inspiration that you can give to our listeners today?
I would say follow your follow what feels right. So follow your intuition. But just walk around barefoot outside, see how it feels, and just think. And if this inspired you at all, just look into permaculture. There's so many resources out there, and there's communities all over. This is, as Mary alluded to earlier, this is a global movement. This is the change. I 100% believe this is the world we're going to see. I think this is the world my kids are going to grow up in. And
Mhm.
so if you're inspired at all, plant something this year, or volunteer to plant something, or find there's all sorts of volunteers. There's work trades where you can go work away, things like that. You can go and trade your labor for room and board and experience. So you can go spend a week working on a permaculture farm to
Mhm.
get that experience and see what it's like, and get that learning. So if you're inspired, get outside, get your hands in the dirt, and plant some stuff.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. How can people reach you, Alex, in case they'd like to, have you help them design their permaculture land?
My Instagram is eco free spirit dude.
I love it. Eco-free spirit, dude. That's awesome. All
Yep.
right. Send you a message on Instagram. Isn't that awesome?
Sounds good.
Ah, thank you, thank you. And then for my own self, if someone wants to reach me, I do private sessions with Psyche to help you transform, or anyone transform their limiting beliefs, things that are blocking them, challenging them, frustrating them. They can literally shift it using this tool of Psyche. It's very powerful, and I have gifts. My gifts is that your spirit will talk through me. So it's just a natural thing that the Psyche has opened up my spiritual giftings. So if you'd love to hear what your higher self would like to say, I can help you with that. It's pretty awesome, and I stay curious. I'm just like an open vessel here. And it's really awesome. If you'd love to get a lot more of your help, with your spiritual support teams and things like that, super awesome. I also teach Psyche. I'm one of the certified Psyche instructors across the world. There's about 30 of us across the world. And I am actually having an online workshop this weekend. That'd be really fast if someone wanted to. And you can still sign up. Go to my website, igniteandhealyourlife.com. And that's ignite, because you're igniting your spiritual um, true self. Okay. And then that is how you heal any of those sadness, wounds, anger, frustration, the denser stuff that we chose to experience. So I'm also offering in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, in February 16th to the 18th, an in-person workshop. And so each are 3 days, and you'll learn 2 ways to transform beliefs at the subconscious level, and also be able to transform any perception. So if you have, let's say you don't get along with some people, or you're frustrated, or you think you have some lack and scarcity, perfect. That's okay. It's just where you are right now. Would you like to have more abundance in your life? Would you love to have more help? To know you always have more than enough, that you can feel safe and secure, deeply loved and abundant. And this is what I help teach people how to do with themselves. You get to change this with yourself. And then you can also help others. In the in-person workshop, you can go and assist others. And I helped when I was married, my husband heal with his cancer, at least to the level that he's doing really, really well. And we can do that. We can self-heal. We can transmute. We can transform our lives. We are that powerful. That's how we're made. We're co-creators here. Like you say, everything's here for us, right? And once that shift happens, your life does change. It's absolutely, absolutely amazing. So this has been such a joy being with you, Alex. I look forward to seeing all that you're going to be growing and doing, and all you'll be serving and helping. And I'll be a part of it. You know that once I get my home and my yard, then I will be calling you, because and my girlfriend, she's vegetarian. I'm like mostly vegetarian. Like I'm like a bacon vegetarian. I love bacon.
Yeah.
There you go. I'll eat meat once in a while, but I'm like really moving for whatever reason. My body just wants to do more plant based, which then makes it really easy with the permaculture. It's like there you go. But hey, people can have
Yep.
chickens on the property if they want, or
Oh, chickens are an incredible. I mean, animals are part of ecosystems. So you need,
good.
so animals are. I mean, you can't have a healthy ecosystem without animals. So that's
There
a good
you
point to end
go.
on. Is
So the
chickens
chickens turkey.
wonderful permaculture animals, super
Yes,
nitrogen rich poo, great for
good.
plants.
Good. Yeah, chicken, turkeys, exactly, right? Yeah,
Yep.
even pigs if you want the pig. So yeah,
Yep.
I love it. And then like you say, do what feels right for you. That's the kiss. So this has just been a big inspiration to know that yes, we can live abundantly. And it just begins with just a decision. Just say, I'm gonna go check this thing out, learn more about this, call this. Or with coming to my Psyche workshop, yeah, I'm ready to make the changes. So, like, instead of a plant medicine journey, they can come to a psyche workshop first if they want. And then people have had massive changes. And then eventually you may want to go. That would be a great thing too. I know. I love them all.
Yep.
Find what works for us. So thank you for being on the show. We send everyone lots of love, lots of abundant energy, right? Love and light that we are abundant. We are abundant and we live in an abundant world. So I am
Yes,
Mary
thank you so
Mazur.
much for having me.
Oh, such a joy, Alex. Such a joy. I'm Mary Mazur. This is Change Your Funk to Fun. Have an abundant day.